heads, I brought in Crypto Damas. I saw a tweet by him and captured my interest and just took a shot like I do a lot on X and invite people on our channel. And graciously, Crypto Damas accepted and even got up earlier than he usually does. So thank you very much for granting the interview, Crypto. And I like to start off with talking about how people got involved in this business. And from your handle, we know you use the planets, you use astrology. And I read on your bio that astrology became was first before the financial market. So, what were you doing with astrology prior to getting involved in the markets? Readings for people, just predicting global events. What was your aim, and how did you initially get involved in astrology?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, yeah, thanks for inviting me on, Dale. You did get me up a little earlier than usual today, but I'm glad to be
You
here.
can
I'm
take
glad
a
to be
nap
here.
later, buddy.
I will. It's good. It's good to get up early on the Fed day too,
Yeah.
because there's a lot going on today. Um, yeah, I got involved in astrology. It's been around 1999, 2000, so I've been studying astrology for 25 years.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think first I was just interested in it as a, sort of a personal growth, and trying to understand the nature of reality in the universe a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm a Chinese medicine doctor by trade also, so I was
Oh.
really interested in medical astrology. Uh,
Acupuncturist as well?
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys like you have helped me.
Oh, good. Glad
Yeah.
to hear it.
Yeah.
And I realized actually I was never going to get rich by doing acupuncture. And so I realized, right around the 2009, 10, 11, I'm like, I got student loan debts and I'm like, man, I got to make some good investments or I'm really screwed here. I got to learn about the markets. There's trillions of dollars out there sloshing around every day. And, once you learn how to trade and invest, you have access to some of that capital. So that got me interested in the markets.
Okay. So you've been in it since you said you started with the stock market and then moved on to fairly, I see you cover more than one instrument, but Bitcoin is your wheelhouse. Is that correct?
I'm most definitely most well known for my work with Bitcoin. I mean, I think I'm like sort of like known as the Bitcoin astrology guy. Of course, the whole crypto market rides up and down on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the main thing. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but I'm a huge believer in Bitcoin. I think it's the first one world currency. It brings people together from all over the world, traders, investors, speculators, analysts. And I think it's a good thing, and especially in these crazy times. But yeah, no, we also cover like Ethereum and Solana. I
Okay.
really like Solana, and I've done a lot of good market calls on Solana. We cover about maybe 15 different stocks and the S&P 500 as well.
Okay. Are you guys short NVIDIA?
No, I'm not shorting anything right now.
Okay.
I think we're still in a bull market, and I'm actually my big call right now is I'm long quantum computing sector.
Oh,
And this
interesting.
was a legendary call, really going back to 2000 to 2023. I've been long quantum computing. IonQ is a stock that I really like at $6. It's at 60 today. We made the call back in 2023. It was, I think, at $5, $6, and it just hit a new all-time high at 60. So I think quantum is the big wealth opportunity right now.
Okay. Let me ask you something because, I'll even, be transparent. It's great to make a good forecast and be right. It's even better to make a good trade, right? You're executing on your analysis.
Yeah.
The toughest thing is a great hold. Do you still own that some of that stock that you bought at six? Well, it's at $60 now
Oh
from
yeah.
your entry
Actually,
down there.
It's my largest position in the stock market out of like 15 different stocks that I own.
Okay, so do you have the patience of Job, or what do you do? What do you do? Because I mean, most people they double their money, they book it,
Yeah.
and then they move on. Um, Describe your psychology and how you're able to hold a position for years.
Well, I mean, I'm not a day trader, number one. I'm more of a long-term position trader. I mean, I do some short-term swing trading, but I gotta say it's almost more for fun. It's not more than all of my really good money trades have been 3, 6, 12, 18 month long trades. So my natural I think every trader has like a sort of a natural type of
Yeah.
trading that comes natural to them. I work with another financial astrologer on here, Marsilio Musings. He's more of a day trader guy. He's an options guy. He's a day trader. Uh, one of my best trades was buying Bitcoin in January of 2023, right around the time when the bull market started. And I've sold. Like I'm not just a hodl. Like I bought a new car in January. I sold some Bitcoin. I was like, it's up for 2 years in a row. This is a great time to take some midterm profits. And I bought a new car off the lot. So that was like a 24-month trade. Or yeah, no, actually. Yeah, from about January 2023, and we kept adding positions throughout 2023, and then we sold in December 2024 and just January 2025, locked in some of those gains, and then used them to, improve our life, buy a new car. But I'm also a long-term investor. Like I learned a lesson on Nvidia. I was trading Nvidia before anyone even heard of Nvidia. Okay, I bought Nvidia pre-split $27 a share. This is like 10 years ago. And I sold it at $270 and I made 1,000% gain and I thought I did really well. Well, it went up like another
Yeah.
4,000%.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna long-term hold some of these stocks. I think right now quantum actually is like where crypto was like 5 years ago. It's where
Okay.
AI was like 3 years ago. This is a longer term wealth opportunity because it's still early.
Yeah, and it's going to overshadow AI, isn't it?
Well, they're gonna. I don't know if it's gonna overshadow it, but they're definitely kind of gonna come up. It's gonna. Everybody's gonna be talking about quantum in 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Right now, everybody's talking about AI. So AI is like a few steps ahead. And obviously, NVIDIA, you're not early on NVIDIA anymore. You're not early on Palantir or
Yeah.
Oracle.
Right.
But you could still maybe be early on some of these quantum plays.
Okay. So you integrated, and it says on your website, you had the background in astrology and you learned TA. And so you have a combination
Yeah,
between you have more confluences using TA and astrology, where probably both of them come together to give you more conviction about a pattern. Um, who did
totally.
you learn? Who would you say? Did you have a mentor or read books? Where did you learn
Yeah.
TA? From who?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, first of all, I started following the financial astrologer Ray Merriman,
Oh,
who's a friend of
yes.
mine.
Okay.
And I'm doing actually this weekend, I'm doing a workshop with his protege, Gianni Depocci. But a lot, I mean, most really serious financial astrologers, use technical analysis and
Right.
and use astrology to complement other market systems of market analysis. I mean, we look at macroeconomics, we look at, CPI, we look at unemployment, we look at what the Fed is doing. I don't just use astrology. Astrology is like it's just like another technical indicator, really, for me. But I mean, involved in crypto Twitter back in 2018. And I learned very quickly that nobody was going to take me seriously if I didn't know technical analysis. So I honestly, really learned a lot of technical analysis just on Twitter from watching other accounts
Yeah,
and
nice.
seeing like, RSI and the MACD and moving averages and support and resistance levels. And then I did read some books about it. I read Technical Analysis for Financial Markets, which is like a classical textbook on TA.
Who
It just
wrote
goes over
that?
like every TA system.
Who wrote that?
What's that?
Who was the author of
Who is
that?
the author? God, I have to go to my library and look that one up.
Okay.
I don't remember the author's name off the
Maybe it
top
was
of my head.
John Murphy.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah.
Technical Analysis for Financial Markets.
Yeah. Every generation has a Bible. When my Bible was Technical Analysis of Stock Trends by Edwards and McGee,
Hmm.
and that goes back, printing back to the 50s. Okay, so and you know what? They all the pattern recognitions from the 50s are still the same. And when people say the markets don't work anymore.
Oh,
It's their stuff doesn't work anymore because I'm trading the same candlesticks I was
mm,
25 years ago. Do you
cool.
agree with that?
Well, I haven't been around as long as you have, but I mean,
Well,
I'm only doing it for about,
only
6 or 7 years.
T-Rex has been around longer than me. One of these dinosaurs. Um, why don't we start with the elephant in the room? What's your work saying about what might be the outcome of Paul's pivot today and presser?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? This is the key. The Fed hasn't done anything really since what, last December?
Yeah,
Uh, they've just been on pause. And yeah, I think we're in, the Fed's always they're in a tricky situation. I mean, I think that the concern, obviously, Trump's economy, isn't really looking that great. Employment is falling and inflation is ticking up. So we've
yeah,
got the situation of possibly stagflation. And the Fed really messed up, obviously, on inflation back during the pandemic. They don't want to mess up again. So they've been super cautious about it. I think they're going to cut today. Polymarket gives a 95% chance of a 0.25 point cut for the rates today. I think absent a recession, rate cuts are bullish. A lot of people always posting these charts, oh, rate cuts are bearish. They weren't bearish last year. I don't
yeah.
think they're going to be bearish this
They were
year.
bearish for the notes
Yeah, yeah, but not for the risk on,
because
equities
I
and
think
crypto.
this is what happened, wasn't it, in April? This was after when they tried to ease. Here's a candle, the weekly candle of their easing right up here. So, and it's the first time I've seen it, an easing cycle, and the market didn't like it. Okay. And because of what you're talking about, sticky inflation, and yields went up
But
after that happened.
I actually think that they're going to cut today. I mean, like I said, I think it's a done deal. The only question is how big. And then I think short term, it depends on what Powell says. And
Right.
there could be a lot of wicks all over the place today, tomorrow. But I think this adds liquidity for a quarter four rally. This is a post-halving year. Every big Bitcoin cycle top rally has come in a quarter four post-halving year, right?
Yeah.
2013, 2017, 2021. So we don't need astrology to tell us that. We know the Bitcoin cycle. This is typically where we get that big cycle top rally. And I think a Fed rate cut just helps us to do that. So I'm bull.
Okay. Okay. So you're bullish. Does it bother you at all that with the melt up we've had in S&Ps, with Bitcoin also being a sign of liquidity and risk, that it's lagged pretty, it's, underperforming the market with a weak dollar and risk on?
No, I'm not that worried. It's first of all, it's August, September is usually a weaker period for crypto and stocks. And Obviously, actually, the S&P 500 isn't doing the typical September.
Yeah, it
Uh,
isn't.
it just keeps making new highs. I mean, we've been up 23 weeks in a row without a multi-week correction. So we are getting a little bit late in the rally for sure on the S&P 500. Typically 20 to 30 weeks before you get some kind of a bigger multi-week pullback. For crypto, Can I let me show? I mean, if
Yeah,
I can show a chart as well.
I'd love to see your charts. The picture speaks a
Oh,
thousand
I
words.
gotta. Okay, you gotta like do a request here.
No, you just on the bottom,
Okay.
there's a green box.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see it now. Hang on a second. Let me just config. Let me just get my chart up there so it doesn't read my Twitter messages. All right. So here we go. So here's my Coinbase chart, which I use for the daily chart. But let me go to my weekly chart actually, which I use the U.S. dollar index. I mean, look, man, we're above the long-term trend line that goes all the way
Right.
back to 2023 or whatever it is here. September 2023, I've got a long-term trend line. You could even go a little bit farther back, obviously, to the bear market bottom there, but this is a nice uptrend line. We're sticking with it. We're above the 50-week moving average, which is historically the most important. Let me just move some of these things
Could we
here, but
pull back to 103 if we take out 113 before the next up move for the
uh,
fourth quarter?
let me just move this down here.
Good.
Uh, well, I think we could. I think honestly, right now, I think the worst case scenario is we just come down and to test this uptrend line, and that's about 108. I
Okay,
mean, okay, let's say we could go all the way down to 104. That's the previous top from December
right.
2024. It hasn't, yeah, it didn't get tested recently. But as long as we're above this trend line, I mean, there's no reason to be bearish. This is a nice, beautiful, bullish structure with higher, weekly higher bullish, higher lows and higher highs. So I mean, unless we unless if we break the, if we break the trend line, then I'm a little bit more worried. But as long as we hold the 50-week moving average, which as of today is 97. I think we're good. So my worst case scenario really actually would be the 50-week moving average. Bitcoin has never broken below the 50-week moving average in a bull market. In the March and April, the big sell-off, it came down and tested that 50-week moving average with a couple of wicks here. It held the trend line. I think the MACD turned red a couple weeks ago. I think that was actually a false signal, like in September 2020. Also, you had the MACD, it went red for 1 week and it faked people out. So, I think quarter four post-halving rally, all that Trump pro crypto legislation, it's capitals moving into the crypto markets, the Fed cuts. We should look at M2. I haven't looked at M2 this week, actually. We do like to look at the global liquidity. It did stall out a little bit. It did stall out a little bit. There is a nice correlation, with global
Nasdaq.
liquidity. Let me
Okay.
just change the color so I can
You know,
see it.
you're sounding more like a traditional technician. I was curious. I saw your
Oh,
feed. I saw your feed that
yeah.
we're today we have a Mercury to Saturn opposition, which is not bullish the market. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's a bit. Well, the problem is that Mercury is actually in a very, very complex configuration. Well, first of all, I just want to say, look, I didn't look at M2 liquidity this week. It just actually made a new high, and the Fed
Okay.
hasn't even cut yet. So I think
Yeah.
that's actually bullish. Uh, Now it's not only do we have the Fed today, but right, we have a quad witching day on Friday. This is a very complicated week. And the astrology actually reflects that. What I told my subscribers, and I do have a subscription newsletter, we have about 500 paid subscribers for my forecast on Patreon, which I can tweet out a little bit later. But what I told my subscribers was this week is very complicated. It's probably going to be choppy. We're going to see wicks moving in both directions. The market's got to digest what Powell says. And then next week, I think we have a much more clear setup next week astrologically. You want to have the
Yeah,
astrological
because
angle.
you have eclipse and you also
Oh,
have
yeah.
the equinox, right? That's some
The
Gann
eclipse is
stuff.
in a very complicated configuration. It's called a grand trine kite. And I can actually show you that. This is my like February newsletter here. So here's the configuration today on the Fed meeting. Mercury is in it's opposing Saturn, as you said, and Neptune, but it's also in a grand trine with Pluto and Uranus. This is an exceedingly complex configuration, but it's very dynamic, and I think it means there is movement on a rate and rate cut. And but it could, it could do a lot of different things. That the eclipse is also in that same grand trine configuration here, uh, which is interesting. So that happens on Sunday. Sunday, we've got two unfavorables. The eclipse itself is favorable in a favorable position for Bitcoin. I have that also here
Okay.
in my report, my September report that went out around September 1st. The eclipse itself is at 29 Virgo. Well, that's in a 120-degree angle to Bitcoin's Jupiter at 29 Capricorn. That's good. The problem is that Mars is in a square to Bitcoin's Jupiter. So I think actually we could see some sharp selling on Sunday, but that would be a great buying opportunity for a short-term trade setup because the next day Mars goes into Scorpio, and I think that's actually very bullish, September 22nd through the 24th. So I think we've got essentially the bottom line is volatility this week with wicks all over the place. If you're a scalper, this is good. If you're not, I'd probably just stay out of the fray and let it settle down and then wait for some selling this weekend and then position long because then I think we're really going to start to take off into that quarter four
Okay,
rally.
you're very bullish the fourth quarter I read, but also another interesting tweet. Someone was talking about the cycle in Bitcoin was just beginning.
Oh,
And you retweeted a chart by a guy who said the cycle is ending, and you have a
correct.
question. You think it could end between November and January. Am I interpreting
Yes,
this correctly?
correct.
I see. I do
It's
my
actually
research, but I do my
did.
research before I talk to people. So,
You did a good job.
what kind of upside
Yeah.
potential into this end of the cycle are we going to get to
Yeah.
200 grand or fall short?
Well, that I think so I do have a chart for that somewhere. I'm using Kraken for this kind of long-term cycle stuff. Let me go to that monthly there. Uh,
150.
so yeah, I did actually a very long astrological research section. So again, right, we know all of the major cycle tops have come in quarter four post-halving year. So does the astrology support that or no? Well, the bottom line is, without going into a lot of details, yes, it does. For mid-November, there's a key series of astrological alignments. They look favorable. Hey, this is crypto land. There's no 100% guarantees anything's going to happen.
Right.
So I want, we all know that, right? There's no certainty in this stuff, but it looks supportive. It looks favorable for a quarter four cycle top in November. And I mean, if we touch the top, you got a sort of logarithmic chart here from the two tops. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
230.
using a wick there, but basically that goes up to about 240 if it were to touch the top of that logarithmic trend line. Of
Okay.
course, you can manipulate the line a little bit, but basically it brings you up to in the 200,000 range. If it just follows the trend line it's on right now into December 1st, you're going to hit about 140. So
Okay.
I think that's a realistic expectation for
Sure.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. Could do that in a week.
It could, yeah, it hasn't.
So, I mean, that will probably play in with guys that are looking for 7K, 7,500 S&Ps going into early next year as well.
We've got a
So,
nice, there's a yearly pivot resistance that's right at 7,000
okay.
for the S&P 500. But yeah, I think let me just now hang on a second here. We want to now the monthly RSI. You look at the two previous cycle tops. You got a really overbought
Yeah.
monthly RSI. Really
But
like
that's
just
positive. That means new highs, but we're diverging like crazy. Is that what you're saying? We're not
I'd like to
confirmed.
see RSI get more overheated. I'd like to see
Yeah,
RSI, monthly RSI go way above 70
yeah.
and then I would be, and that would be a nice sell signal if that
I renamed RSI to the real simple implicator. By what confirmed highs and lows mean, they imply that wasn't the high, that wasn't the low, and then using it for three drive setups. But I also caught on your website, and why don't we wrap it with, it seems like you have a lot of concerns. We're not that far away from 2026, but your look ahead into 2026 sounds
Yeah.
like there are landmines all over the place.
Well, 2026, I mean, the bear market years for Bitcoin, right, were 2014, 2018, 2022. Oh my God, look at that.
Oh,
2026 is next in line. So just if you follow the normal 4-year cycle of Bitcoin, of course, you should just be worried based on that. The other thing is, one thing that I'm integrating is Chinese astrology. So
oh,
Bitcoin is a rat in the Chinese astrology system. 2026 is a horse year. It's actually called the enemy or the clash year of the rat. When was the last horse year? 2014. What happened in 2014? Mount Gox collapsed. It actually almost killed Bitcoin off. So it certainly was the enemy. There's only one instance of a previous horse year for Bitcoin. So that also isn't encouraging. That's not encouraging for crypto. And there's some potential black swan events, just generally speaking, in
geopolitically or
2026.
financial system, geopolitically or the financial
Well,
system.
that's what we don't know. You might have read the tweet I posted about 2 days ago. It sort of went viral. I think got about 1,000 likes on it, where I said, "Hey, people are just aren't ready for what's about to happen in 2026 if they don't know astrology." There's a very serious lineup of potential multiple crisis going on, and it's a very chaotic and tumultuous looking year. I don't know if it will be as bad as 2020 or not. It's a different thing altogether. But I would be concerned. Stocks have been up now for 3 years in a row. Crypto's been up for 3 years in a row. We're due for some volatility. And
Maybe I know I'm interrupting you here, but
no,
it's
no
time.
problem.
It's possible, and tell me what you think because you've probably looked at it, is that real estate led the way up and we're starting to soften up in prices, that perhaps real estate, which is a huge part of the economy, is already topped and is signaling that other tops will follow.
Yeah, I mean, real estate is, I'm not an expert on real estate, but that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's from my limited understanding, there is a supply shortage of
Right.
affordable housing. And so that sort of keeps those prices elevated. But for stocks, I mean, these are the highest valuations we've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah.
stocks are moving like crypto, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
got what, Robinhood,
Yeah.
150% gains, Nvidia, 150% gains, Palantir, 200% gains, Spotify, Netflix, 100% gains. I mean, just since April.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't seen moves like this since the dot-com bubble. It is getting a little bit concerning. Doesn't mean we can't go up for the next
No.
couple of
You
months. I
never
mean,
know how long, how wide a rubber band can stretch before
we
it
all know
snaps.
markets can stay irrational, blah
Uh,
blah 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 blah. But so I wouldn't be shorting this thing yet. But like you said, we've got several crises coming. Now, it's relatively easy in astrology to identify periods of major crisis. February 2026 has all the signatures of a major crisis.
but
By the way, I did predict the global crisis of 2020, so I'm not just talking out my ass. But
okay.
how the market responds is another issue altogether. Like 2020, many astrologers predicted the market would crash. Well, it crashed for 4 weeks, and then
Yeah.
it went to the longest bull market ever because the Fed cut rates to
Right.
zero
Right.
and started buying quantitative easing again. So how the market responds, we don't know. It's a wait and see. But I'd be a little risk off going into February 2026 just to be on the safe side.
Okay, well,
I'll be selling some crypto. I'll be selling some Bitcoin in November and in January.
I know a guy that thinks once it peaks, it could come back towards 20K.
Well, that's quite a prediction.
Yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed talking to you. Um, here is Cryptodamus's website, Astro Crypto Report, and you can do your due diligence and read about Cryptodamus and follow him on X and consider subscription or consultation. Um, when I talk to somebody after 5 minutes, I know if they know because I've done thousands of these. And I learned a few things from you. So I appreciate you edifying our channel by being here and glad our paths crossed.
Dale, thanks so much for having me on your show. It's been great to be here. You asked a lot of really good questions. And yeah, check out my website, astrocryptoreport.com. We've got our subscription service on Patreon. We're doing a big webinar, international webinar event this Saturday.
Yeah,
And
sign
we got a
up.
lot of interesting stuff going on. I put out a yearly forecast report every year. It's kind of gotten a little bit famous with a cult following. And so check all that good stuff out.
Well, you could add a new title to your resume. You're now my new trading warrior brother.
Thanks, man. I'm going to be asking you your opinions.
All right. Well, it was really great meeting you. And, may pips come like a flood and overtake you and the people that follow you, Thomas.
Thanks a lot, my brother. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. You guys are going to want to watch this again. It is videotaped, it'll be out there. That's a wrap. And, uh, you know, I've always told people to, there's things happening in the skies. I'm big on lunar cycles. That's why I'm also called a lunatic, crypto. But great meeting you and excellent interview. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Adios, everyone. Remember, don't just count your pips or your planets or your stars. Count your blessings. If you're listening to this broadcast, even if you've taken some losses this week, consider yourself fortunate because there are millions of people that wish they had extra money to speculate with. So keep your perspective